Okay, so first and foremost, I need to stress that the routine that I'm about to teach is not the important takeaway from this video. What is important is the thought and theory that's gone into the construction of the effect, because it's those ideas that you can extract and actually utilize within the framework of your own routines. Now, when we consider a traditional impression style routine, they mostly follow along the same path, A to B. A piece of information is written down, B, that same piece of information is revealed. The problem is, it doesn't take a genius to walk from point B back to point A and think, okay, something was written down, then it was revealed, must have been seen. Now, it matters not if our participant understands how or when we gleaned that information, but the very moment the participant entertains that thought as a realistic possibility, then our illusion is shattered. So we must take care to structure our routines in such a way that we prevent that from happening. Now, thankfully, there are a couple of things that we can do. The first thing that we can do is play with the timeline of events, and fortunately the Pro Tools allow us to do that so easily. Secondly, and perhaps most importantly, we must structure our effects so that we negate the importance of the written piece of information. So let me give you a very basic example here. Imagine we have a crumpled piece of paper and a wine glass. We have our participant write down a thought. We then open up that crumpled piece of paper and show that the thoughts match. Now, if a participant was trying to backtrack that effect, they can't do that because we've distorted the timeline of events. By virtue of seemingly made or committed to a prediction ahead of time, even if we actually knew the piece of information which was written, it wouldn't help explain away the effect. Because even if we knew the piece of information that was written in the present, that wouldn't help us in any way when our prediction was made in the past. Okay? So notice, in this instance, even if we saw what the participant wrote, even if we were standing over them, it wouldn't help us in any way. So the effect ceases to become backtrackable. And of course, that's very easily achievable by the use of the wonderful glyphs by Mustafa. So participant's thought is transmitted and printed off in our pocket, a simple switch, and job's done. Now, all of the integrations allow us to seemingly commit our thoughts ahead of time, whether it be via inject, committing on the participant's phone, whether it be Hydra, committing to a prediction on our Instagram account. So all of those things allow us to play with the timeline of events, much akin to PK touches, and everybody who knows that knows it's so strong because we've distorted the timeline of events. The touches take place in the past, whereas the audience perceive that they're taking place real time. The other thing that we can do to help prevent our effects from being backtracked, or even having the participant entertain the thought of it, trying to backtrack our routines, is to shift focus and make them the subject, the star of the show. This is why I'm a huge advocate of spectator as mind reader style effects, because they will cease to question how did you do that and instead start asking the question, how did I do that? And if they're asking that question, then they're asking the wrong questions. Okay? So this routine that I'm about to teach really capitalizes on all of those things, but also does something very interesting. It naturally resets, it milks the most out of what seemingly is a time prediction and allows us to seemingly reveal so much more. It allows us to single out one participant from a group. It's got a name prediction, it's got an open prediction made in advance before anything's committed to paper, and we're also using the Pro Tools in a slightly different way, because normally the integrations send one piece of information en masse to many different integrations. This time we're not doing that. We're sending multiple pieces of information to different integrations. We instantly reset, and I think that you'll find merit in this. Even if you don't perform the routine, you may be able to extract something from it that appeals. Now, I will stress that this routine itself uses one of the hybrid watches. Here I'm using a Turner watch. You can use any watch, but even if you haven't got one of these, even if you haven't got Timesmith, don't worry, you can still perform the effect. You just need to verbalize the time rather than have it committed on a physical watch. Okay? Now, if you haven't got a LUMEN, or if you've lost that, you can use one of these Nurse's fob watches. Put your Apple Watch in there, set it to always on by following Sam's wonderful tutorial. Have this clipped into your pocket, so as you're naturally going into your pocket to retrieve something or put something in, you can naturally peek and also clear canvas. Okay, so that is an alternative. So watch through the video, and if you haven't got any of these tools, if you haven't got Hydra, don't worry, it's not needed, but all of these things, if you do have them, work nicely together. So how are we going to set up for this effect? First of all, we are going to open up Timesmith. We are going to connect our watch. Here you can see the Turner watch is connected. We're going to hit on details. We're going to hit on calibration. Now, normally when we calibrate our watch, we will set it to 12 o'clock. So it matches 12 o'clock on the phone as well as on the watch itself. But for this routine, we're actually going to offset the minute hand to 12:05, like so. So the watch shows 12 o'clock, but the actual, or the phone shows 12 o'clock, but the actual watch shows 12:05. Hit save and close, hit OK. The next thing that we need to do is to scroll down, and we need to go to action control, where it says watch button press, tap on there, and we need to tap on freeze custom time. Okay, this is important because we're going to imply that this watch is broken. Now you'll notice the second hand is ticking away at the moment, but by virtue of using that setting, you will notice that any time now placed onto the watch will freeze it, so it's not going to budge from there, and it's going to act very much like a broken watch. Okay, that's all that's required from Peaksmith. We're now going to go into the LUMEN app. You're going to tap on accessories. I'm going to connect the LUMEN Eye. Here we can send a test message. That is connected, so we're all good there. Hit and hold. That clears the canvas. We're good to go there. If we go to settings, just pause the video. You can emulate these settings. Hit done. Now make sure you're connected. We can see the pad is connected here, so we can hit ready to perform. Now the only other thing that we need to do is, if you actually do have Hydra, open it up, and within the templates, so go to settings, templates, you're going to set up a new template. And here I've written one tonight. My randomly chosen helper will be called number. They will be very close to guessing the correct time, and will only be off 5 minutes off. So we are now going to go to Insta Predict. We're going to tap on LUMEN. We're going to tap on that new template there. We are going to go and tap on LUMEN mode. We're now going to hit perform, and we're now going to navigate back here. So now what happens here is, any time that is input or written on the impression device is going to transmit to the watch, but the watch is going to show a time 5 minutes later. Okay, and you'll understand why that is important in a moment. So now, to set up in preparation for your actual performance, you can simply place your mobile phone in your pocket. The pad itself is going to be placed in the inside jacket pocket. We are going to take the LUMEN pen. I'm going to place this upside down. You will understand why in a moment. Inside a separate pocket, the pen pocket here. And then we're going to place the impression pen. Here I'm using the Sharpie, but you could use the gel pen, the metal pen, doesn't really matter. I like to use a matching pen, in this instance the Sharpie pen, and I'm going to place that in the same pocket as the impression device itself. The watch is now going to go into the pocket. Now, just a little note, you'll notice that this is all frozen. Now, in performance, I like to wear designer watches. I'm not wearing one at the moment. So I can get away with carrying 2 watches on my person and wearing a designer watch if I'm claiming that this is a broken watch. So we're legitimizing the fact that we have 2 watches. So I don't actually wear this watch in performance. I like to wear my designer watch, and now by placing this into a pocket, we're now set ready to perform the effect. So let me give you a walkthrough as to exactly what happens. So we're going to suggest to our participants, time is perhaps the most valuable commodity that we all have, because it's the only thing that we can give but never take back. So with the subject of time in mind, I'm going to propose a simple experiment. In my pocket I have a watch, not a particularly valuable watch. In fact, this watch is broken, frozen on a very specific time. And I want to test your intuition as a group to see if any of you can determine the time that is set on this broken watch. In order to do that, I need you all to clear your mind and slowly allow a time to manifest itself. Imagine it as a digital display in your mind. See the hours, also see the minutes. Don't tell me what times you have in mind, but have you got a time? Have you got a time? You've got a time? Great, perfect. Now, it's my job to try and intuit who is going to be closest to the time set on this watch. So just focus on your time. No, it's not you. Focus on your time. It's not you either. Oh yes. Yes, this is you. This is you. We now place the watch. In fact, take this pen. Here we're handing the impression pen over to them. In fact, let me commit to something. So now I'm going to remove the impression device. I'm going to remove the LUMEN Pro. Now I've had it placed upside down my pocket, so when I pull it out, it's now in writing position, and I'm going to make a prediction. And the prediction that I'm going to write, just to save time, I'll use this. I'm just going to write so close, only 5 minutes out. And I'm going to take this, I'm going to fold it up, and I'm going to hand it to the participant. So notice I've legitimized the use of this because I've used it myself for its purpose, to write a prediction. So I'm committed before the participant even puts pen to paper. Now I say I'm committed. What I'd like you to do is take the pad, and I'd like you to write your time big and bold across the pad, but keep it close to your chest, make sure that nobody sees. So now the participant is going to take their pen, the impression pen, and we're just going to write time on here. So let's assume that the participant writes down 9:33. Now notice, because I've handed the pad over, I've still got the LUMEN in my hand, so this is a natural position to be in. It legitimizes the reason why I've got this. Now I can feel the pen vibrate. I'm going to peak the time, but I'm going to peak the time as I go to place the pen back into its pocket. So I'm resetting the effect as I go. So I'm peaking 9:33 on this. I'm pressing and holding, so I'm clearing the canvas and placing that pen away. Now I'm going to announce the time seemingly on the watch. In order to do that, I need to add 5 minutes to the time I've just peaked. So I say, okay, the time on the watch is 9:38. Okay, just to confirm, 9:38. Yes, 9:38, 9:38. Now be honest, was that the time that you wrote down? Was that the time that you were thinking of? They will say no. I say, but you were close, yes? What was your time? Show everybody the time. So they will show 9:33. I say, oh, so you were very close. In fact, how many minutes out were you? Now, because we verbalized the time, somebody will announce 5 minutes. So they're out by 5 minutes. I say, interesting. Do me a favor. I'm now going to reach over and I'm going to take the clipboard back off them, and I'm going to ask them to reach in their pocket so that they can retrieve the prediction that we give them in advance. So they're going to open this and they're going to read so close, only 5 minutes out. Okay, so the participants are going to react to this, because the only way we could predict how close they were would be if we actually knew the specific time that they were thinking of. We're now going to take this back off them, and we're going to put it back on the clipboard. We're now going to take this pen back off them, and notice that this is the only pen that's in display. I'm going to say, this is interesting. We've never met before. What's your name? So let's say they were called Tony. We'll say, interesting, Tony. Now notice I've left a white space at the top here. So I'm going to write down, and it's going to say Tony. You're going to find this very interesting. In fact, now I'm going to take this pen, I'm going to place this back into the pocket. Notice I'm resetting. This watch goes into the pocket, reset. And I say, you might want to keep this, Tony. I'm now going to give them this. So this says, Tony, so close, only 5 minutes out. I say, you might want to keep this as a little memento. I'm now going to take this, slide it in my pocket, I'm instantly reset. I say, you might want to keep this as a little memento of today. Because let me tell you, I actually knew that you would be closest before we even brought the watch out, before we even did anything. In fact, I can prove it to you. If everybody brings out the mobile phones, goes to Instagram, I'm just going to do this now. So if we actually open up Instagram, and let me just show what it says here. They will all read, tonight my randomly chosen helper will be called Tony. They will be very close to guessing the correct time and will only be 5 minutes off. Okay, so notice how we've got the name reveal. We've seemingly identified them as an individual as being the closest to the time on the actual watch. We've seemingly known specifically how close they would be, and all of this milked within the framework of a nice, very simple routine which instantly resets. Now, as mentioned, if you don't actually have a watch, you can just claim that you're thinking of a time and you can announce it. So it all works exactly the same way. If you haven't got the LUMEN, you can just peak the time via this. Okay. So I hope that you enjoy obviously the structure of this, and because we were seemingly committed in advance, then seemingly our prediction is unchangeable. You know, everything validates each other. The prediction on here was committed in advance seemingly. This was committed definitely in advance. We've got the time on the watch, everything validating each other. And notice how we've now got two reveals. We've managed to peak the information, we've managed to change the watch using the time, but also we've got a name prediction all wrapped up within one singular routine. So I hope you enjoy it. If you've got any questions, please reach out, and I look forward to hearing from you.